The Arrowverse is an adaptation of the DC Universe, which in that universe, the biggest and most famous superhero team is the Justice League, which over the years has consisted of a lot of different DC heroes, a lot of whom have appeared in the Arrowverse. In this video, I will go over every single Justice League member from the comics who has appeared in the Arrowverse, go over what universe they're from in the Arrowverse, the actor who plays them, what episode they debuted in on which show, and also some details about when and how they joined the Justice League in the comics, maybe not how, just when. So all that out of the way, let's go over every one of these characters in order of when they joined the team. So looking at all of the founding members of the Justice League, at least the original ones, meaning Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, which is the Barry Allen one, Green Lantern, the Hal Jordan one, Aquaman, as well as Martian Manhunter, 3 of them have appeared and 1 of them has been mentioned. All of these characters were founding members of the Justice League and founded the League back in 1960. First of all, you have Clark Kent, aka Superman, who appeared and is on Earth 38. He's not a very major character, especially compared to his basically starring role in the DC Universe in the comics, but he has appeared at least a couple episodes. He debuted technically in Supergirl Season 1, Episode 1, but with an actor for the first time in Supergirl Season 2, Episode 1, where he was played by Tyler Hoechlin. Then you have Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, who, although has never appeared, has been mentioned and is on Earth 1. He was mentioned as Bruce Wayne for the first time in Arrow Season 6, Episode 2, and was mentioned as Batman for the first time in Arrow Season 7, Episode 9. Then you have Barry Allen, also known as The Flash, which has 3 versions of this character appearing in the Arrowverse, the first of which is the Earth 90 version, the main character of the 1990s Flash TV show who debuted in Season 1, Episode 1 of that show. He's played by John Wesley Shipp, and he's the first of many Barry Allens to appear in the Arrowverse. Then you have the main character of the 2014 Flash TV show, also Barry Allen, also known as The Flash, who is on Earth 1. He's played by Grant Gustin, and although is the main character of The Flash, he debuted in Arrow Season 2, Episode 8. The final version of Barry Allen I'm going to go over here is the Earth 2 version, also played by Grant Gustin, who appeared in The Flash Season 2, Episode 13, although he is not actually a version of The Flash. There is also Savitar, but technically he is the Earth 1 version of Barry Allen, just a future time remnant, so I'm not going to really mention him here. But then over on Earth 38, you have Martian Manhunter, John Jones, who is a supporting character on Supergirl, debuting in Supergirl Season 1, Episode 1, being played by David Heywood. Those are all the founding members of the Justice League to appear in the Arrowverse, or at least the original ones, but there is another character who in that same issue was made an honorary member of the Justice League, and that is Snapper Carr, who debuted in Supergirl Season 2, Episode 2, being played by Ian Gomez, also on Earth 38. The Justice League's first recruit after the founding of the team, not counting the honorary member of Snapper Carr, is Oliver Queen, aka the Green Arrow, who is a main character in the Arrowverse, the main character of Arrow, which is the namesake of the entire multiverse on Earth 1. He's played by Stephen Amell and obviously debuted in Arrow Season 1, Episode 1. In the comics, he joined the Justice League in 1961 as, like I said, their first recruit past the founding. A year later, in 1962, Ray Palmer, aka the Atom, joined the Justice League. In the Arrowverse, he is on Earth 1 and is a supporting character in Legends of Tomorrow, or really technically one of the main characters. He's played by Brandon Routh and debuted in Arrow Season 3, Episode 1. 2 years after that, in 1964, Carter Hall, aka Hawkman, joined the team, and in the Arrowverse, he's a supporting character in Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, also on Earth 1, and he debuted in The Flash Season 2, Episode 8 during the crossover. And also he's played by Falk Henschel. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, but that is Hawkman. Then 5 years later, in 1969, Dinah Lance, also known as Black Canary, joined the Justice League. Now, the Arrowverse has had a large amount of these characters. There's Sarah Lance, there's the Siren X version, there's even Dinah Drake, but none of those characters will be counted for this version of Black Canary because she is a character who is a hero, so Siren X won't be included, and she's not Sarah Lance or Dinah Drake. She is a different character in Dinah Lance or Dinah Laura Lance, so those other characters, some of them will be included later, really only one of them, but for now, I'm only looking at Dinah Laura Lance. So first of all, you have the Earth 1 version, which is played by Katie Cassidy, a supporting character on Arrow, who debuted in Arrow Season 1, Episode 1. She's also the Black Canary, or although she's not really called Dinah Lance, she's called Laura Lance for the most part. And then there's her Earth 2 counterpart, who, although was a villain for a while, called Black Siren, she later took over from the Earth 1 version of Black Canary, who did die, as the Earth 1's Black Canary, or at least one of them. She's played by Katie Cassidy and debuted in The Flash Season 2, Episode 22. In 1973, the Justice League added two heroes who have debuted in the Arrowverse, first of which is Ralph Dibny, aka the Elongated Man, who appeared on The Flash as a supporting character on Earth 1. He debuted in The Flash Season 4, Episode 4, and is played by Harley Sawyer. Then you have two different versions of Red Tornado, neither of which really have a voice box, really. They don't talk, and they don't have a different identity, and they're also kind of both antagonists, one being a lot more antagonistic than the other. The villainous one is played by Ido Goldberg and debuted in Supergirl Season 1, Episode 6 on Earth 38, but the less villainous but also kind of antagonistic in the moment was from Earth X, the Red Tornado, also played by Ido Goldberg. I had no idea they were played by the same person. This is just the voice for the character, and he debuted in The Flash Season 4, Episode 8. Those two characters of Elongated Man and these two versions of Red Tornado both debuted in 1973, or at least joined the team in that year of the Justice League. In 1974, the Justice League got their second Green Lantern added to the team in Jon Stewart. This character, although never technically fully appearing in the Arrowverse, has had two characters that are technically Jon Stewart, the first of which is one of the main supporting characters on Arrow, debuting all the way back in Arrow Season 1, Episode 1, being played by David Ramsey, is John Diggle, who is technically the Jon Stewart of the Arrowverse. If you want more details about that, you can click this video in the top right corner of the video, but then you have his Earth 90 counterpart called John. His last name was never revealed, but we're going to assume it's either Diggle or more likely Stewart from Earth 90, who was mentioned in Arrow Season 7, Episode 9, and since he is a doppelganger of John Diggle, we are going to assume that he is also played by David Ramsey if he were ever to appear. 13 years after Hawkman joined the Justice League, Hawkgirl joined as well. In the Arrowverse, she is Kendra Saunders, aka Hawkgirl, on Earth 1, a supporting character on Legends of Tomorrow Season 1. She is played by Kiara Renee and debuted in The Flash Season 1, Episode 23. Firestorm joined the Justice League in 1980. Now, in the Arrowverse, there are three different characters who have been Firestorm, one of which is not Firestorm in the comics. So the two characters who are members of the Justice League and are actually Firestorm in the comics are Martin Stein and Ronnie Raymond, both debuting in The Flash Season 1, Episode 8, and played by Victor Garber and Robbie Amell, respectively, both on Earth 1, with Martin Stein acting as a supporting character on Legends of Tomorrow, with Jefferson Jackson both being Firestorm. Now, Jefferson Jackson was never a Firestorm in the comics and never a member of the Justice League, but since he is basically the main version of Firestorm in the Arrowverse, I will be including him in this video. Jefferson Jackson acts as a supporting character in Legends of Tomorrow for the first 3 seasons. He is on Earth 1 and debuted in The Flash Season 2, Episode 4, being played by Franz Drama. In 1984, a new version of the Justice League called Justice League Detroit was created, and a couple members of that team have appeared in the Arrowverse, including Steel, Vixen, Vibe, and Gypsy. For Steel, who in the comics was Hank Heywood, here in the Arrowverse, Hank Heywood is not Steel, but his son Nate Heywood is, so they're technically two different characters, but they're both representing Steel for this video. Hank Heywood debuted in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 14, but as an adult in Season 4, Episode 1, being played by Tom Wilson. He is on Earth 1, and his son, also on Earth 1, being played by Nick Zano, debuting in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 1, and as a supporting character in Season 2, 3, and 4 of that show is Nate Heywood, aka Steel, who in the comics is Citizen Steel, but in the show took over his father's superhero name, as well as another character superhero named John Henry Irons, but these two characters are basically both Steel. Then you have Vixen, also two different characters. First, Mari McCabe, which is the name of the Vixen from the comics in the present day. Also, just in general, she is the main character of the CW Seed Vixen show, and on Earth 1, she's played by Megalyn Chikunwoke. Don't know how to pronounce that, but she debuted in Vixen Season 1, Episode 1. Then you have her grandmother, Amaya Jiwe, who is not really a character who exists in the comics. That name is not something that exists in the comics, but she's also an adaptation of Vixen. She is a supporting character in Legends of Tomorrow on Earth 1, being played by Maisie Richardson Sellers, and debuted in Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 1. The other two Justice League Detroit characters, Vibe and Gypsy, are both characters on The Flash, with one of them, Cisco Ramon, aka Vibe, being a supporting character on Earth 1. He debuted in Arrow Season 2, Episode 19, and is being played by Carlos Valdez. The only member of Justice League Detroit to appear in the Arrowverse that didn't join the team initially, but joined later, joining in 1985, is Cynthia Reynolds, aka Gypsy, who, although never called Reynolds in the Arrowverse, is probably Cynthia Reynolds as well. She is from Earth 19, and she is played by Jessica Camacho, and she debuted in The Flash Season 3, Episode 10. In 1987, a new team called Justice League International was created, and a lot of members of this team have either appeared or actually a large portion of them have just been mentioned in the Arrowverse. First of all, you have Ted Kord, aka Blue Beetle, who in the Arrowverse, although never appearing and also never being confirmed to be Blue Beetle, was mentioned as Ted Kord in Arrow Season 1, Episode 21 on Earth 1. You also have Dr. Fate, who also never appeared in the Arrowverse, but his helmet did on Earth 1. You also have Dr. Light, who in the comics is a character named Kimiyo Hoshi, and in the Arrowverse, she's never appeared, but a kind of different version of Dr. Light, the Earth 2 version of Linda Park, did, being played by Maylee's Joe, debuting in The Flash Season 2, Episode 5, although this is a very, very, very loose adaptation of the character that is the member of Justice League International. Then you have Booster Gold, who technically exists on Earth 1, or at least we assume he does, because his son Rip Hunter, who debuted in Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 1, has appeared. Then there's Maxwell Lord, who was a member of the staff of Justice League International, who's later revealed to be a villain, but in the Arrowverse, he debuted in Supergirl Season 1, Episode 2, being played by Peter Facinelli on Earth 38. Then you also have Fire, who joined in Justice League International in 1988. She is another character who has never appeared but has been mentioned, being called Baby de Costa, one of the characters who died in the particle accelerator explosion. Apparently, she is on Earth 1, and she was mentioned for the first time in The Flash Season 1, Episode 7. Finally, you also have the Huntress, aka Helena Bertinelli, and a member of Justice League International, who is a kind of a villain in the Arrowverse, being played by Jessica DeGao, who appeared in Arrow Season 1, Episode 7, or debuted on also Earth 1. The final character of Justice League International is a supporting character or an honorary member, just like Snapper Carr, Sue Dibney, who in the Arrowverse was mentioned and is set to appear in The Flash Season 6 on Earth 1, or she was more indirectly mentioned than anything, but she was kind of mentioned in The Flash Season 5, Episode 22. There are actually other members that originally were in Justice League International to go over, but in the middle over here, there is kind of a joke team from 1990, yet another version of Justice League called Justice League Antarctica, which mainly featured B, C, or mainly D-tier villains. Probably the most famous of these villains is William Tachman, aka Clock King, who appeared a couple times in Arrow as well as once on The Flash as a villain. He's played by Robert Knepper and debuted in Arrow Season 2, Episode 14 on Earth 1. There's also David Ratchet, aka Big Sur, who is played by Bill Goldberg and debuted in The Flash Season 4, Episode 11. So getting back to Justice League International, first of all, we have Wally West, aka The Flash, who in the Arrowverse is played by Keaton Lonsdale and debuted in The Flash Season 2, Episode 1. He is a supporting character on both The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, both on Earth 1, and he is Kid Flash, and either he's never going to be The Flash or he just isn't yet. Now, technically, he's not really based off the same version of Wally West as he's based off the New 52 version, who is a different character, but it's still definitely possible that he is based off, at least partially, this version of Wally West, so I'm still going to include him here, as he's the only version of Wally West that we've seen so far in the Arrowverse. Then you have by the way, Wally West joined the team in 1991. Then you have Maxima, who joined the team in 1992, being played by Ave Torres Grace in Supergirl Season 1, Episode 19. This was just a villainous cameo role, and she only appeared in one episode, never to be seen again. Also, you have Ray Terrell, also known as the Ray. Two versions of this character appeared from Earth X and Earth 1. The Earth X version, they're both played by Russell Tovey, but the Earth X version was really only a cameo role in Freedom Fighters The Ray, debuting in the first episode of that show. But then you have Ray Terrell, aka the Ray from Earth 1, who's the main character of Freedom Fighters The Ray, but he debuted in The Flash Season 4, Episode 8, during the Crisis on Earth X crossover. But both of these characters, who is the same character, debuted or joined the League in 1993. Then you have Agent Liberty, who in the Arrowverse is Ben Lockwood, aka Agent Liberty, a villain on Earth 38, being played by Sam Witwer, debuting in Supergirl Season 4, Episode 1, but he also joined the League in 1993. The last character to join the League in 1993 and the last member of Justice League International I'm going to go over is Jay Garrick, aka The Flash, who in the Arrowverse is from Earth 3, being played by the same actor who played Barry Allen on Earth 90, John Wesley Shipp, debuting in The Flash Season 2, Episode 13, although he wasn't unmasked until Episode 23 of that same season. 1994 saw the inclusion of two different characters who would later appear in the Arrowverse, or at least so far, one of which was called Nuklon, but it is basically Albert Rothstein, aka Atom Smasher, who in the Arrowverse was turned into a one-off villain from Earth 2, played by Adam Copeland, and debuting in The Flash Season 2, Episode 1. Then you have Obsidian, who in the Arrowverse is Todd Rice, aka Obsidian, just like the comics. He is from Earth 1, but he's all the way from 1939 or sometime around World War II, and a member of Justice Society of America. When he's younger, he's played by Dan Payne. When he's older, he's played by Lance Hendrickson, but he debuted in Legends of Tomorrow Season 2, Episode 1, right at the end. Then in 1995, Blue Devil joined the Justice League. Now in the Arrowverse, Blue Devil is actually a fictional character as we see him on posters where he is a movie character on Earth 1. The first time we ever saw him was Arrow Season 2, Episode 14, but actually him being a fictional character fits his character as opposed to another fictional character in the Arrowverse we will go over way later in the video. But then from 1997, Connor Hawke, aka the Green Arrow, joined the Justice League, and in the Arrowverse, there are two different versions of this character. There's John Diggle Jr., who is the Green Arrow from a deleted timeline that we saw in Legends of Tomorrow, but this character also goes by Connor Hawke. He's played by Joseph David Jones, debuting in Legends of Tomorrow Season 1, Episode 6. The same actor, Joseph David Jones, also played a different character, Connor Hawke, who is in the flash forwards of Arrow and is the son of Ben Turner, aka Bronze Tiger, and the adopted son of John Diggle. He debuted in Arrow Season 7, Episode 12. Barbara Gordon, aka Oracle, joined the JLA in 1998. In the Arrowverse, she's never appeared and hasn't really been fully mentioned, at least as Barbara Gordon, but Oracle was mentioned in Arrow Season 4, Episode 12, which is on Earth 1, but this reference doesn't really make any sense whatsoever, and it doesn't really 100% prove that she does exist, but considering a lot of other members of the Bat family, like Batman, Batwing, and Batwoman do, I'm going to assume that Oracle does as well, and speaking of Batwing, we will get to him later. In that same year, Jessie Chambers, also known as Jessie Quick, also joined the JLA. In the Arrowverse, she's from Earth 2, played by Violet Bean, debuting in The Flash Season 2, Episode 5. Also, she's not Jessie Chambers, she's actually Jessie Chambers Wells, also known as Jessie Quick. Then you have a new version of the Justice League called Justice League Elite, which was founded in 2004. One of the founders debuted in the Arrowverse in Supergirl Season 4, Episode 12, played by Jessica Merez on Earth 38, and that is Pamela Firmer, aka Menagerie, who, although is a villain, is also a villain in the comics, and honestly, I don't really know what Justice League Elite is. I just found out about it when researching, but I don't know if this is a villainous team or a hero team, but it doesn't really matter at all for the sake of this video. In 2007, Rollie Harper, who was then known as Red Arrow, although he has gone by Arsenal and Speedy as well, joined the Justice League. In the Arrowverse, Roy Harper, aka Arsenal, played by Colton Haynes, a supporting character on Arrow, which is on Earth 1, debuted in Arrow Season 1, Episode 15. 2 years later, Supergirl, which is otherwise known as Carr Zor-El, joined the Justice League as well. In the Arrowverse, she is played by Melissa Benoist. She's the main character of Supergirl, the TV show, debuting in the first episode of that show, living on Earth 38. A year later, in 2010, Guardian, also known as Jim Harper, joined the Justice League. Now, in the Arrowverse, Jim Harper, aka Guardian, is kind of split into two different characters. You have Jim Harper as well as Guardian. Jim Harper, who never became Guardian in the Arrowverse, debuted and appeared in one episode, which is Supergirl Season 1, Episode 17, being played by Eddie McClintock. He was kind of an antagonistic character living on Earth 38, but then there's Guardian, who is a different Jimmy Olsen, or James Olsen, aka Guardian, who is one of the main supporting characters of Supergirl on Earth 38, who debuted in Episode 1 of that show, the pilot. He's played by Mehcad Brooks, and he and Jim Harper are kind of two characters who are split from Guardian in the comics. Then you have, in also 2010, Mon-El joining the Justice League. In the Arrowverse, he was a supporting character on Earth 38 in Supergirl Season 2 and 3, where he debuted in Supergirl Season 2, Episode 1, and he's played by Chris Wood. Then you have Blue Beetle, and if you remember earlier when I said about Blue Devil, another character with a blue in his name, is that for Blue Devil to be a fictional character in the Arrowverse makes a lot of sense, because, although I didn't mention this earlier in the video, in the comics he is a fictional character who the actor who plays him later becomes Blue Devil himself in in the real world. Blue Beetle, on the other hand, the Jaime Reyes version, both any version really, doesn't really make any sense for him to be a fictional character, but we saw Felicity and William playing Injustice 2, or at least a very, very similar looking game to that in Arrow Season 6, Episode 6 on Earth 1. We can maybe assume that every other character from that game is also in the game, but that would mean that Batman's identity, Green Arrow's identity at the time, the Flash's identity, all would be public, so that wouldn't really make any sense. At the time, we can only really assume that Blue Beetle, aka Jaime Reyes, maybe even not Jaime Reyes, maybe just Blue Beetle, is a fictional character, which, especially compared to the Blue Devil, doesn't really fit the character at all. 2011 saw the creation of the New 52, and with it came Justice League Dark, a new dark and magical version of the Justice League. A couple members of that team, not really a lot, but a couple of them have appeared in the Arrowverse. The main one is John Constantine, who is the main character of Constantine, debuting in Season 1, Episode 1 of that show, being played by Matt Ryan on Earth 1. You also have Swamp Thing, who, although has never appeared, has kind of been mentioned in Legends of Tomorrow Season 4, Episode 4 on Earth 1, although Alec Holland himself, outside of some marketing for Constantine, has never been mentioned or has appeared. 2011 saw the return of Justice League International, where one of the members was Batwing. In the Arrowverse, Luke Fox, who would probably later become Batwing, is set to appear in Batwoman Season 1, Episode 1, being played by Cameron Johnson, which is set on Earth 1 as well. Then 2 years later, in 2013, we saw the creation of a new team called Justice League of America, which is separate from the regular Justice League. This team had 3 characters who have either appeared or have been mentioned in the Arrowverse, the first of which is Tasso Yamashiro, aka Katana, who has appeared on Earth 1 and debuted in Arrow Season 3, Episode 1, being played by Rila Fukushima. Then you have Catwoman, who in the Arrowverse would be Selena Kyle, who, although never appeared and not really technically mentioned, was hinted at, and you saw the name Selena K, which definitely would be Selena Kyle, in Arrow Season 7, Episode 9, during the Elseworlds crossover in the second part. Then there is Dr. Light, who would be Arthur Light, who was also a member of Justice League of America in 2013. He was mentioned in Arrow Season 2, Episode 19, but I doubt he will ever appear in the Arrowverse. 2014 saw 2 villains actually joining the Justice League, one of whom is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor debuted in Supergirl Season 2, Episode 12 as a kid, but it wasn't until Supergirl Season 4, Episode 15 where he debuted as an adult, being played by John Cryer. Lex Luthor was the main villain of Supergirl Season 4, and he was on Earth 38. He's actually the only main villain in the entirety of the Arrowverse to also be a member of the Justice League in the comics at least once, so I think that is pretty impressive. Then you have Leonard Snart, aka Captain Cold, who, along with Lex Luthor, also joined the Justice League, I'm pretty sure, at the exact same time. In the Arrowverse, there are 2 different versions of this character. First, there's the Earth 1 version, played by Wentworth Miller, debuting in The Flash Season 1, Episode 4, being a supporting character on Legends of Tomorrow. And then you have the Earth X version, which is Leonard Snart as well, but he goes by Leo Snart and goes by Citizen Cold, who is also played by Wentworth Miller, and he is from Earth X, debuting in The Flash Season 4, Episode 8. Now, there are 2 more characters, or really 3 more characters to go over in this video, but I think it's very fitting that we're ending with characters who joined the Justice League through the Rebirth version of Justice League of America, because if you don't know, this team is actually modeled largely after the Arrowverse. There's a lot of characters like Killer Frost, Black Canary, the Ray, Vixen, a couple other characters who are only members of this team because they are pretty significant in the Arrowverse. There are others like Batman and Lobo who aren't significant in the Arrowverse, but a lot of the members of the team, and this has been confirmed by people behind DC, that this is very, very inspired by characters from the Arrowverse, so I think it's very fitting that this is where we're ending off. In 2017, Dinah Drake, aka the Black Canary, joined Justice League of America. Now, I did mention Black Canary earlier, but that was the Dinah Lance version, while Dinah Drake, who before the New 52 was Dinah Lance's mother, afterwards became the main Black Canary in the present day, joined the Justice League, or didn't join the Justice League until 2017 with Justice League of America. In the Arrowverse, she's played by Julianne Harcavy and debuted in Arrow Season 5, Episode 10. She's a supporting character in every season since Season 5 on Earth 1. Another member of Justice League of America in DC Rebirth is Ryan Choi, aka The Atom, who has never appeared on Arrow to this date, but in Season 5, Episode 1 of The Flash was mentioned as the creator of the first version of the Season 5 costume for The Flash, and although we don't know if he's The Atom, we can assume that he might be in the future. The final character to go over here is Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost, who is also a member of Justice League of America, debuting in 2017, actually going by Frost because she had she turned over a new leaf, becoming a hero, mostly because of the Arrowverse doing the same thing to the character. But Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost, debuted in The Flash Season 1, Episode 1, being played by Daniel Panabaker as a supporting character on Earth 1. After that, there was also Caitlin Snow, aka Killer Frost, from Earth 2, who was mostly a villain, although there was a little bit of a hero going on there, also played by Daniel Panabaker, and debuting in The Flash Season 2, Episode 13. So that is every single member of the Justice League in the comics to have ever appeared in the Arrowverse. Let me know if I missed one or two, and let me know which characters from the Justice League who haven't appeared yet do you want to appear, and which members of the Justice League are the best characters in the Arrowverse. Obviously, you have the Green Arrow and Barry Allen, but aside from those two, which one of these characters are your favorites? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, like maybe with the Teen Titans, the Suicide Squad, the JSA, etc., let me know in the comments, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.